In this video, I want to talk about a new realization that I've had. As I've been studying history more and studying psychology more in depth to such an immense degree, I've come to another conclusion, another realization that's tragic but true, and it's that gullible people have to die. All the gullible people in the world are a problem for humanity's morality and empathy and just humanity in general. And the reason why is because, let me give one good example. Let's say someone is gullible, and so they allow their spouse to beat and abuse their children because they're gullible, and they'll do what their psychopathic spouse says. And it's sort of like a queen bee and the queen bee's drones. Of course, the queen bee has to be exterminated in order to prevent the queen from producing more drones. The queen bee being a psychopath, being a sociopathic narcissist with genetic neurological abnormalities. That being the queen bee in this example. But you see, the drones will follow the queen bee. The gullible spouse will follow the sociopathic narcissistic spouse because they are not strong. They're not willing to do things on their own, and this is a huge problem. And it's not so much that they can't do things on their own. It's not really like that. In reality, it's not like it's not possible for them, but it's their default setting to serve, to obey, to follow, to not be an alpha, to accept things and tolerate. That's another big problem. It's people that are tolerant. People that tolerate abuse, tolerate neglect, tolerate violence, tolerate greed, tolerate degeneracy. Those people are, in my opinion, a somewhat part of the problem. But more so, it's people that are gullible that are the problem. People that will fall for the lies and misconceptions always developed, always used in politics and in war. It's the degeneracy of gullible people that causes things like mass exterminations, genocides. If you look at Auschwitz being the best example I could possibly give, second or first best example ever, the prison guards at Auschwitz, yeah, though a lot of them were doing drugs, like heroin or methamphetamine, whatever it was. Nonetheless, most of them, were assigned, agreed to go to those prison camps. Probably not fully well knowing what was going on there, but they accepted it. They went along with it because of their gullibility. And the civilians outside of the death camps, went along with it because they were gullible. They most of them, I'm sure, fully well knew exactly what was going on. But because they were gullible, they were willing to accept such degenerate behavior. And that's the problem. It's gullible people and their acceptance of evil. And for that reason, gullible people have to be removed. It's hard to determine what makes someone gullible. Fully understanding, neurology and psychology is not really possible with current human intelligence and information. But I think that at some point in the future, if we were to genetically, if we were to tamper with human genetics, tamper with cell development before the fetuses grow, and we were to somehow outcast gullibility, outcast psychopathy, the world would be peaceful. And I see this everywhere. This need to follow rules because rules work because servitude works because everybody chipping in works. You see how something might be wrong. Something might be quite straightforwardly wrong. Now, there are always people that will have this opinion. Let's use abortion as an example. They'll say that abortion is purely wrong, and that's putting aside cultural or religious beliefs. Let's say the person wasn't raised in any sort of strongly culture-based society, religion-based society, and they just naturally felt that it was wrong, for fetuses or babies to be aborted. Yeah, we could say that is a straightforward immoral act. Murdering fetuses, babies, whether they're sentient or not, we could say that it's immoral. Um, that's something that is sort of it's a two pronged two sided sword, that topic, because let's say the mother didn't choose to have the baby, and also you could say that the society the baby would grow up in, it would have to suffer existing in. And so there's always multiple sides, to the immorality, to the evil, or the not just immorality, but morality, the empathetic action of something happening, whatever it might be. I'm trying to think of how to describe what I'm trying to say. That I'm getting very off track here. It's hard to get really in depth here without giving complex examples. But what I'm trying to say here is that people will view a certain action as moral because there's multiple sides to a viewpoint, multiple sides to how you see an action. You might see it as moral, immoral, necessary, evil, maybe neutral behavior. Some people might view something as not being good or evil, but because something could be interpreted in many ways by an individual, it gives room for a gullible person to see something that's quite evil as something that's moral or necessary, or perhaps just neutral. Some people are like that. They view, I don't know, the murder of children, as simply just neutral because it's just causing problems to the world. Some people are like that. They have an extremely neutral viewpoint of things that others would consider to be immensely evil. And so, because of this, you get people like, let's say, police officers. They see someone. Let's say they see a man shoot and kill a person's whole family, but then except for, let's say, the mother of a family. Let's say a mother loses her husband and three of her children. Let's say these robbers come in a home. Let's say somehow the police they see it happen with their own eyes. They see all the whole family except for the mother getting murdered. And then the mother decides to shoot the murderous robbers in retaliation for the brutal slaughter. And then the police arrest her, and then the judge charges her for the action. Because of gullibility, people will fight their own feelings, their own feelings that this is wrong, what I'm doing, what I'm saying is wrong. People will fight that when they are in a system, when they are a part of a large system, even a small one where others are doing things around them that they might view as wrong. They'll still go along with it if they're gullible and they can convince themselves that it's necessary, it's for the greater good. And this is a huge problem. This is, in my opinion, this is what will lead to the second Holocaust. There will be more Holocausts. I don't care what anyone says. There will be more school shootings. There will be more 9/11s. There will be more Holocausts. There will be more rapings of Nanking. There will be more world wars to come. There will be more great famines and all these awful things. There will be far more of them to come, and there's no stopping it because of gullibility, because of acceptance, because of servitude. It's the problem. It's the main problem, and it took me a long time to see this. But it's not mainly the psychopaths. If a psychopath were to rise to power in a world where there weren't gullible people, let's say a man named Adolf took power in Austria, and he ordered the immediate execution of a bunch of people that lived in ghettos. Any sensible person would, likely immediately take a knife after hearing that, or seeing a bill sign. They would immediately take a knife and slit the man's throat. Everybody would pounce on the person and kill them immediately, or do whatever they can to stop the person. In a sensible, realistic world, in a sensible, moral world, people would stand against any form of immorality, and they would be willing to stick their necks out, put themselves on the line for humanity, for the true greater good. But because of this gullibility, you have people going around saying, oh, it's okay to rape children, oh, it's okay to commit mass murder and bomb hospitals, bomb schools, bomb children, torture foreigners, torture sympathizers of this group, that government, that political system. Do this, do that form of evil. It's okay because the majority of people, this system, this group, this religion agrees with it. It says it's fine. The gullibility is the problem. The gullibility is the main problem. It took me so long to realize this, but it's not even so much the psychopaths. It's the gullibility and the lack of empathy, which does align more towards sociopathic people, which sociopathy isn't genetic, so it's psychopathy that's the main problem. But it's this gullibility that is such a big issue, and it's my reason for wanting to annihilate the entire human race. It's what's led me down this path of absolute pure scorn for the human race, and I can't help but feel that way because of all that I've seen, all that I've studied. Some could say that perhaps I've gone too deep into my studies. I've gone far too deep into dark philosophy, that it's completely ruined my humanity, because it's caused me to want to annihilate humanity. Perhaps I've gone too deep into it, but I would like to argue that I've seen the truth. I've looked at all the information, all the statistics, all the history, all the studies, and I've seen the truth. I've come to realize the truth, and gullible people and psychopaths are the two biggest problems in this world. It's not the environment. It's not nature. It's not really anything other than gullible people and greedy sociopathic psychopaths. They all must be genetically removed from the gene pool, whatever those genes might be that make people that way. But in particular, for now, psychopaths have to be removed from the world. All psychopaths have to be exterminated. Any person in a position of power, political power, sociological power, whatever, whatever form of power, any psychopath spotted in a position of power, such as Vladimir Putin as a good example, or Kim Jong-un, should be immediately executed, assassinated, executed, through trial, whatever. Because from what I've seen, it's these people that are causing holocausts. It's these people causing mass murder and war and famine and poverty. It's all thanks to these people. And I've talked to many people, whom were raised in, let's say, highly immoral households, where one parent would rape their child, and the other parent would just stand by and watch it happen, or go along with it, even because of their gullibility, along with their sociopathic or psychopathic nature. And I've heard about this. I look at the news all the time to try to gain a deeper understanding of humanity. It's my intention to become the most knowledgeable and intelligent person in the psychology field that there's ever been. That's why I study so much. I try to understand things on an extremely deep level, and I do so by observing the news and talking with people, especially about things related to the darker aspects of humanity, because I think that's where solutions lies, in understanding the darker side of humanity, and figuring out how to fix that rather than focusing on how do we show more love, how do we help more people, where do we put our money, where do we put our what do we put our fundraising toward. I'm not focusing on things like that. I'm focusing on what type of people commit school shootings, what type of people commit mass murder, what type of people rape children, what type of people torture babies, what type of people cause wars, what type of people cause famines, what type of people manipulate and lie more often, what type of psychopaths, what degree of psychopathy, what neurological structures, what genetic sequences, what sort of traits do their family members have, what behaviors do they exhibit. I study the darker aspects of humanity, so that I can figure out a way to stop all the degeneracy. I think it's possible. I think that perhaps humanity does not have to be completely incinerated. I think that there is perhaps a way for humanity to become better, for humanity to go on without being degenerate and evil. But if I cannot figure out a way, if I cannot figure out some brilliant way to get rid of all the gullible people and all the psychopaths and some of the sociopaths in the world, then I think the only option left is the complete incineration of the entire human population. Literally forcing a thermonuclear war against every government, every nation in the world. I think that's the other option, the only other option. And it's grim, it's dark, it's evil in itself. But I think that, like some people said during World War II, if the nuclear attack on Hiroshima and Nagasaki didn't occur, then more people would have likely suffered and died. Japan would have continued its offensive of degeneracy and repugnance. And so I'm one of those people that would argue that it was a better solution. It was a better idea to bomb Hiroshima and Nagasaki with nuclear weapons. And I think that perhaps going down a more necessary evil path is for the best. But the problem with that is is, my beliefs, my religion, and my social upbringing do get in the way of that. And as someone with autism that's a super empath, my empathy is so extreme that it actually makes me highly immoral in some aspects, or just in general, really. And so that's even a problem, in itself. Either being a psychopath, a stone cold psychopath, with the dark triad, or being a super empath. Either one is bad. So I'm kind of part of the problem myself, in a way. Too much empathy can lead people to doing bad things. It can drive people insane, I think. I think psychopathy just makes people violent, rapey, destructive, lying, manipulative, grotesque people. But being super empathetic just makes people go insane and do highly destructive, chaotic things in different ways, or in sometimes the same ways. It's a rather puzzling, surprising finding of mine, but thanks to Jordan Peterson, I've been able to come to this realization, and I'm still learning more in psychology, still learning so much more. But I think that this is my best understanding. The best conclusion that I've come to yet is that gullible people are a bigger threat than even psychopaths. I think that perhaps in a world of psychopaths, you might have more peace than a world full of gullible idiots. Which is, I don't know, that would be an interesting program to run with super intelligent AI. I'd like to see how that would go. That's an interesting theory. But anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and tell me what you think. Definitely comment and tell me what you think in the comment section. And check out my other videos. I make lots of different videos I make lots of videos on many different topics. And I'm sure there's a video out there for you. And so that's all.